we're telling them, don't go anywhere. Just stay calm. Unless it's an emergency, there's no need for our clients or those potential clients or our immigration friends to go anywhere. Sit still, follow the law, do what you need to do, and then hopefully things will always work out in your best interest. But if it doesn't, always remember you can lawyer up. You can always call the law office of Martin and Associates. There's always someone that's willing to help you. But don't place yourself in a worse position than you had to, right?
Hey, family, welcome to another episode of the Black Man's Roundtable. I am your host, Rodney Butler, and today we have another one of our coveted local black-owned business ownership here in the local Atlanta area. And so we love doing these episodes because we actually celebrate our local business owners here in the local Atlanta area. And today we have on attorney Corey Martin. Corey Martin is the managing attorney for the law offices of Martin and Associates right here in Douglasville, Georgia. And he is a wonderful gentleman. I'll let you know he is a great friend of mine. He is my brother on the square. Corey, welcome to the program, brother. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing today?
Corey, I'm doing outstanding, man. I am just glad to have you back on the program. When we had you on, I want to say, I believe last year, of course, you were on here in another capacity running for, I think your very first elected office, okay? So we were glad to have you on then. We're glad to have you on now. And so, look, without further ado, man, we're going to jump right into this conversation that I want to have with you, Corey. And what I first want you to do is I want for you to let the audience know your journey. You're a veteran. Let them know your journey from soldier to attorney at law, brother.
Okay, well, one, thank you, and I appreciate you for having me on this evening. It has definitely been that. It's definitely been a journey, to say the least, but it's been a good one. It was one that I think the military helped prepare me for. I was in the military, Army Reserves from 1991 to 1999. 8 years on a 6x2 contract. I was in a heavy combat engineering unit in Decatur, Alabama. I went for my basic Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Lost in the Woods, as they called it,
Yep.
when I was there, and there was for basic and AIT, and it was definitely an experience. My drill sergeant there was a female, and so I left home from North Cortland, Alabama, in Huntsville as well, where my mom was a drill sergeant, to go to basic and AIT with another drill sergeant. So it was definitely an interesting situation that I went through at that time. But I feel that the military was something that I needed to do. My sister had joined the military. She's now a dentist, Dr. Lowe, and then my cousins, Dennis and Troy and Henry, they were all military as well. And so I thought it was the right thing to do for me to give back to my country. It gave me an opportunity to serve. And on top of that, it paid for school with the GI Bill, which was always great to get that monthly payment. And on top of that, I think the biggest part was that they told me that, well, if you sign, we're going to give you 10 stacks. We're going to give you a $10,000 bonus. Now, like most people, in 99, I was looking to get my 10 stacks as soon as I signed the dotted line. But it didn't happen, right? I'm looking for my money on the Sam, and it didn't happen like that. But it is what it is. At some point in time, of course, when I got back from basic and AIT and really looked at how the process works, I did get my bonus, but you get it every so often. It may have been maybe 2,000 for the first 6 months and then another 2,000 the next. But we did get a bonus. Of course, they also didn't tell me they would be taxed. And it was taxed, right?
Heavily taxed.
Very heavily. So I didn't see the amount that they had said that I would see. And maybe I should have just asked more questions the way that I do now as an attorney. But the military was great. I mean, it helped to instill more discipline, although I was disciplined. It showed me the type of brotherhood and camaraderie and the sisterhood that you get with people you don't know by going through basic and AIT with them and then being in a unit with them, where you're learning really to depend on another person to watch your back and you're watching theirs. versus normally being where, yeah, your family look out for you, but outside of that, really you out on your own. And that's what the military instilled. That yes, you have someone that has your back. You have a battle brother, you have a battle sister. So that part of it was definitely great. To be able to meet new people. And the crazy part, in general, coming from Alabama, is it did not care. It did not matter what race you were, right? You my brother, period. When we're on the battlefield, I'm not looking at your sexuality. I'm not looking at anything. I don't care your religion or your political views. None of that matters in the military when you out there and you need someone to watch your back. You're not asking those questions. The only thing you know is I got your back and you got mine. I think that the military taught me a lot about staying engaged in the process because we both know, since we're both military, there's always a process that you're following in regards to how much you want to deviate from that process to either make it go quicker or maybe more smoother, more efficiently. It doesn't work like that. We always hear hurry up and wait as being one of the slogans that they had. And so we're trying to get things done more quicker, more efficiently. The military, like, no, this is the process. The process works. Trust the process, and you will see that you're going to be successful. And so the military put those things in it.
Exactly. And I was going to, ask you, my follow-up was going to be asking you about how those qualities, how those ethos, those ethics of the military were able to help you become the outstanding, and I don't use that lightly, outstanding lawyer that you are. But I guess you've already kind of answered it. And I tell people all the time that military skills really do pay off in just about, anything, any walk of life that you go into after military service. And but if you want to elaborate on any part of it that you think really elevated you or help you in your journey as a that would be great for those people who are watching this, those veterans who are watching this, those active members who are watching this, reserve, National Guard members who may be thinking about a career in law as a lawyer, who are currently serving. What are one or two of the tenets of the military that you believe that really help you be this outstanding lawyer and running this outstanding law firm?
I think the military gives you an opportunity to be a leader and a follower, right? So I have my own business, and for the most part of my life, I've been self-employed, especially during a period of time once I finished the military. Um, and the military prepares you to be able to step out there on your own, knowing that you can handle whatever the situation is, right? It may not always look great. Things may not always work out the way that you want to, but you understand you can make some adjustments in whatever it is that you're doing. And the military teaches you that everything isn't just going to work out always the way that you want it to. And it teaches you also be a follower, because you may not always be the best person to lead the pack. Sometimes you need to fall back. Sometimes you have to listen. Even in my business now that I have, as far as being an attorney and have my own law firm, I still have individuals that works with me, my paralegal, my legal assistants, and we have conversations. And sometimes they are able to show me a different way, a different path of being able to get a job done versus the way that sometimes I just want to go because I'm the leader. Everything falls on me. But at the same time, I understand that, yeah, Corey, it's okay to do some following and to do some listening and to make some adjustments along the way. And I think the military definitely teaches you that, because initially I was just a part of the squad in the military, but before I left, I was a squad leader. So now I've gotten more experience. And now that experience that I got from being a follower to a leader, I'm able to transfer that into being an attorney where I'm able to follow. If I'm working with co-counsel on a case and co-counsel is the leader, I can follow co-counsel. I can go to any type of situation, I believe, and be able to say, you know what? I don't have to be the leader. I can follow. But if I need to lead, then I don't mind stepping up. And I know how to delegate where needed. So I think the military really gives you that opportunity and those skills to take back out and lead. And I believe that the military always prepares you to be self-motivated, right? No one forces me to get up every morning and do what I do because, one, I enjoy it. But also the military, although you had to get up, right, because you had physical training and just the things that you do in general, there was no question you had to get up. And I'm just believe the military prepared me to say, you know what, you got work to do, right? We have a mission that has to be accomplished, and so you need to do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that we get that done. And the excuses they go out the window.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Well, Corey, we're gonna get into the services that your law firm provides, and we have, we're gonna look into your four main areas that your law office, that your firm provides, and so we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna talk about criminal defense. We're gonna talk about immigration. We're gonna talk about personal injury and contract and civil law. We're gonna start out with criminal defense. Talk to us a little bit about criminal justice and how your law firm come at, criminal defense.
Sure. So we do practice criminal defense, and we defend anyone that's been accused of committing a crime, from a speeding ticket, no seatbelt on, all the way up to a murder case. I'm currently in a murder case that I'm representing someone that's been accused of committing murder in Putnam County now. We finished one up in Fayette County not too long ago. But anything from a speeding ticket to murder, we handle. We also do what's misdemeanors that carries up to a year in jail and up to $1,000 fine. But we also handle felonies, which is, of course, from 1 year up. I run the veterans program over at John Marshall Law School. And at that veterans program, we represent veterans free of charge all throughout the state of Georgia for misdemeanors, right? And they don't pay anything. All they have to do is show up. I go to them, and I represent them as if they were anyone else that walked into my office, because we want our veterans to know that we defend those that have defended us. And so John Marshall and the VA have entered into this program, and it's a great program. And we try to do everything that we can to help our veterans, because as a veteran myself, I understand what it took for you to serve and what it took for you to give up yourself a whole lot more than most people do. And I understand that my seeing a veteran such as yourself, Rodney, and when I see you and I said, thank you for your service. Once I know that you're there, I said, thank you for your service. But yet I see you 2 or 3 days later and you're hungry, and here I am not willing to offer you a food, some drink, some money, anything to help you, right? That's not right. So we believe in just making sure that if we're going to say we're going to do something, then we do just that. We let our veterans know that we represent them. But I go throughout the state of Georgia, represent our veterans free of charge. And we've been doing this probably for the last 10, 11 years at John Marshall Law School. And recently we were able to get for the last 2 years, we were able to get some funding to help with that. But outside of that, it was my doing it out of my own pocket, of course, with the guidance of Dean Ortega and some of the other individuals over at John Marshall Law School. Because like now we have Dr. White and Bansando and that are there helping us, and Miss Sumter and Miss Wendy. And of course I have Sable, who's my daughter, who's very instrumental in helping out with the Veterans Clinic, as well as the other students that we have that come in and volunteer and help and speak to the veterans and try to do everything that we possibly can to help them. So as far as criminal defense, I do all those things. Felony and misdemeanors. And we don't just tell you that we're going to do something. We actually fight for you. We don't mind coming out and telling people that if you believe that because you decide not to talk to the police, when you could possibly charge that you're doing something wrong, that's incorrect. That's the wrong way to think about it. You have rights. And we're here to tell you that you should protect those rights, regardless of what someone else is trying to get you to believe, right? Because you don't talk to me, then you're hiding something. Well, regardless of whether I'm hiding something or not, I have a right to remain silent. So guess what we tell people? Exercise your right. Remain silent. You have that right. No one can force you to do that. And it's just something that we believe, especially until, you find out all the facts in the case. I can't just go out as an attorney representing someone and just talking to the prosecutor and to the police, not knowing what the facts are, not knowing if I'm implicating my client in something, if I'm making my client look bad, if I'm helping my client. That's not what we do here at the office. We take our responsibilities to our clients very, very seriously. The interesting part about all this, Rodney, is when I was in law school, I interned actually on the opposite side. I was an intern with the Douglas County Solicitor General's Office under Brian Fortner, where, of course, there was prosecution. I interned with the IRS in the Self-Employment Small Business Division, which was prosecution, and with Chief Counsel's Office under the Department of Homeland Security, where we were responsible for making sure that those laws were enforced, which means that you may be deported. So it's interesting how I've had both sides of it. I started out in prosecution, and likely only because the bottom fell out of the economy in 08 and 09 when I graduated. no attorneys were being furloughed, laid off. They didn't have any type of position. So then I had to do something, right? Because the military says you can't just sit still, right? The military says, no, you're going to do something, right? We're going to make a change and you're prepared to do that. And so that goes back to again to that discipline and that going from being a follower, waiting for someone to do something for me to being a leader and said, okay, I'm going to step out here and I'm going to open up my own practice. And I've been blessed ever since.
And before I do a follow-up question on this, Corey, I just want to make sure that the audience and make sure that the veterans out here understand that you are absolutely doing angels work, brother, when it comes down to our veterans. I mean, you know, we have that motto, never leave a fallen comrade, and you definitely instill that and have that, you know, in your law firm. And so I just had to say that. And this is why I just believe, yeah, absolutely. This is why I just believe that we need, you know, veterans in so many aspects of you know, of our lives, you know, especially in the political arena, but that's a whole nother story, right? So what I want to ask you, Corey, is there any, before we move on to immigration, because I'm probably going to ask you the same follow-up about immigration, is there any misconception or misnomers or anything like that that you think that you want for this audience and others to know about criminal defense?
I just want them to know they have rights, right? You have rights, and there are due processes that have to take place all throughout this process. Um, I've been having this conversation actually pretty frequently as it pertains to being a criminal defense attorney and being a judicial candidate back in 24 and things like that. Because you do criminal defense does not mean that you want people committing crimes in your community. That's zero tolerance for that too. And I tell people all the time, I just want you to have a fair trial or a fair process so that when the hammer comes down, then you can never say that they didn't protect me, they didn't give me my options. You know, we want you to know that you have those options and those rights. But if you are found guilty of committing a crime, this is what it is. Right, I live out here just in Douglas County, like you do, Rodney. Right, I don't want anyone trying to break into my house. I don't want anyone trying to pull up the gas station and take the vehicle that my wife is in, or the vehicle that my daughter is in, or that my cousins or that my colleagues are in. Right, or run into the store to take things. That's not what it's about as far as being a criminal defense attorney. Those are not the things that we stand for at all. Right, I want my daughters to be safe. I want my family to be safe. I want us to have a great community. We're dependent on each other, where I know my neighbors, right? Where our schools are not having students carrying any weapons into them, or there being issues. I just want it whereby if that does happen, a person understands that you have rights, not that we are sitting here advocating for you to go out and commit a crime, because as a criminal defense attorney named Corey Martin is going to do everything that he can to help, which I will, but that's not what I would prefer. I would prefer you do like I do, get up every day, go to work, provide for your family, be supportive in your community. Do the things that we know we're supposed to do, right? Just some basic foundational things. Treat people the way you want to be treated, right? Get up and go to work. My mom always put it into us. She instilled in us, hey, you got to go to work. You can't just sit around the house. And that was at a very young age. I think my first job, right, maybe like 10, 11 years old, so often there, right? Working out in the field or something, but it is what it is. It was a process, and I've continued that process on since then. So I just want to make sure, as far as criminal defense, that people understand that yes, you have rights, but that doesn't mean that you should be out here committing crimes. But if you do have someone that's going to protect you and that's going to fight for you in that process. But I would prefer not to see people in our community destroying things, right? Because for a while we had a lot of violent crimes going on here in Douglas County. And I hated to see that, right? It just makes no sense. Why are we doing it? None whatsoever. And you know, it's where one minute you are smiling and the next minute you're crying. And so we don't want to see that. And any criminal defense attorney would tell you that no, we're not out here advocating for that whatsoever. It's just the opposite. We don't want it to happen. But if it does, lawyer up. The law office of Martin and Associates are here to help. Don't defend.
Absolutely. It goes right into, this has been your history. This has been what you this has been the kind of career that you're very familiar with. And what I mean by that is, it's just like when you was in the military, just like when I was in the military, right? We don't go in the military wanting a war to happen,
No,
right?
no,
So it's the
no.
same way. You don't want people committing crime. So you used to having to do things when you're called upon. And
Yes.
so, you don't want any crimes in Douglas County, just like I
Right.
don't, right?
No.
But boy, if you call upon, Corey Martin and associates, you're going to have someone there for you the same way Corey didn't want to to have to go to war or anything like that. But if he was called upon, he was ready, ready to go and ready to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Corey, we're going to move right into immigration, which was, I know your law office been handling immigration for a while, but, immigration is a hot tamale right now. And I don't know, how much, your office has had to take on with immigration. But look, let's jump right into immigration and talk about how Martin and Associates deal with immigration issues in the community.
Sure. It's been tough. It's been crazy seeing a lot of the things that we don't normally see go on. I want to say this right and make sure that people understand. There's a couple of ways that depending upon who's in power, they tend to address immigration, right?
Right.
It may be in your face, shock and awe, so you can see everything that I do, or it could be behind your back, right? But I'm still doing the same thing. Same
Right.
events are happening, right? Same numbers of people are being deported, but it's just that because I'm behind you or I'm away from your ear, you don't hear it as much, you don't see it as much, versus it being right there in your face. And right now we're at that stage where it's right there in your face. Now, I will say when it comes to immigration, it's been tough because I've been getting calls of clients whose family members have been picked up, and personally, it's been very hard trying to find them. Sometimes we're on the phone 3 or 4 hours just waiting for someone to pick up. Or if they pick up initially, guess what? You get placed on hold. And we've been on hold for hours and hours trying to find out, well, what was the person transported to? Or why were they picked up? And a lot of times you may be here in Douglas and they transport you to Atlanta to one location. Then next thing you know, you may be the next state over, 2 states over, versus it being taken care of normally, locally here at the immigration facility. So those are the things that are going on. And it I tell people immigration is interesting in that it is true that if you didn't enter into the United States correctly, that yes, you've broken the law because the law says I have to come in this way and you do something a different way and they're able to prove that you've done something a different way, then that's a problem, right? For anyone. What we do is a lot of immigration defense, where individuals have come in and either they've overstayed and they end up being stopped by the police for a ticket or for maybe drinking, for anything, right? Sometimes just standing out there in places that they shouldn't be, but some people made it fine as loitering. And they get their background ran, and next thing you know, they're locked up for that initial criminal misdemeanor, and there's a hold that's placed on them by ICE. Then ICE, which is Immigration Customs Enforcement, comes in and they pick the person up, and then they're placed in immigration proceedings. So we see a lot of that, but we also do those individuals that want to come in and be a visitor to the United States, where they are applying for a B2 visa, so they can come in. I had a call today from a client who daughter wants to petition or file the paperwork for him because she's 21 and she's a U.S. citizen. And so we're going to look at going through that process. So there's that goes back to what I said before. There's a process of being able to do things. What we're seeing now is the process is happening, but sometimes it's happening so fast that you don't get a chance to react the way that you normally do. Or for those that would tend to come in the office and say, hey, what about due process? Well, that depends on how you define due process and what rights that you are afforded under the Constitution, and just in general. And because I've been on both sides of it, from the deportation side, when I was in law school interning for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and now that I'm on my own, as far as an attorney practicing immigration defense, you see both sides of it, and you're trying to find a medium whereby if really Congress went and fixed the laws we were supposed to, then we wouldn't be having the issues that we're having. right? But we want to try to do everything that we can to help our clients when they come in. We're very honest and upfront. If we say that there's nothing we can do, we'll tell you there's nothing we can do. If you're in a bad situation, we'll tell you you're in a bad situation, or you need to do A, B, and C before the police pick you up, or before ICE pick you up, or before you have more severe issues, like maybe being barred from applying for an immigration benefit. So, but it's tough. It's tough, and we see it all the time. But we have a job to do, regardless of whether it's good, bad, and different. And that's what we do. We represent our clients zealously, and we do everything we can to help them that's within the confines of the law.
Absolutely.
And you know, Rodney, I always let them know. Now, I started out on the other side. We were deporting. The job was, and that was one of the things that my mentors told me at Homeland Security, because I asked the question as well. We were dealing with cases where people had been here 5, 10 years, and they were picked up for a simple misdemeanor, but now they're in immigration custody, but they hadn't applied for any type of benefit through immigration or asylum or nothing, and their families are being split up. And I asked the question, you know, how do you do that? And they made it very, very clear to me in court that this is the job that we have to do. There are laws that have to be obeyed, and if people don't obey laws, then what do we have? Are we going to have anarchy? Are we going to have chaos? What are we going to have? So try to make sure that you're looking at both sides of it, as far as enforcement and as far as the defense side of it, whenever you are dealing with immigration.
Absolutely. Corey, is there any advice maybe that, because there's so much going on with immigration right now, is there any advice that you would like to give a person, whether it's, just whatever right to remain silent, whatever it is there any advice that you want to give someone that might be facing an immigration issue with ICE or local law enforcement, which I know that's kind of a hairy issue there where they really don't supposed to be doing that kind of stuff, but but is there any advice that you would like to give a person who may run into or have maybe ran into an immigration issue, because right now it's kind of forefront and in the center of everything, like you said, is all in front of us right now instead of behind us, with this immigration thing? Is there any advice you would like to give the listening, the viewing audience, when they first come in contact maybe with an agent or something?
Right now, I always tell people it goes actually back to criminal law, right? We tell people to lawyer up. We tell you that you have the right to remain silent. Regardless of whether someone's reading it to you or not, you have that right. So why would you give out more information than you need to give out? You would not, from a criminal defense standpoint or from an immigration standpoint, right? We also tell individuals who may have committed a DUI or 2 or 3 DUIs, or you don't have your paperwork together, and you're deciding that you want to visit outside of the country. Understanding the climate that you're in, and I just got a call about this, Rodney. Someone had 4 DUIs, and they have their green card, and which the green card, after the green card, the next step is naturalization or citizenship, right? And so the person had the green card, and they want to go out of the country, but they have 4 DUIs. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that you will leave out the country with 4 DUIs. And that makes sense to you. Understanding the conditions that are going on, or just in general, because if you go out the country, it doesn't mean they're going to let you back in. All right. They can say that based upon the fact that you have these 4 DUIs, you're not a person of good moral character. And guess what? We're going to pull, not only that, we're going to pull that green card from you, so you won't have it anymore. Individuals that have DACA, which is deferred action for childhood arrivals, that are able to also go outside of the country normally by applying for a travel voucher, which the government approves, and then they allow you to go out. We're telling them, don't go anywhere. Just stay calm. Unless it's an emergency, there's no need for our clients or those potential clients or our immigration friends to go anywhere. Sit still, follow the law, do what you need to do, and then hopefully things will always work out in your best interest. But if it doesn't, always remember, you can lawyer up. You can always call the law office of Martin and Associates. There's always someone that's willing to help you. But don't place yourself in a worse position than you had to, right? Why place yourself in the crosshairs with 4 DUIs going out of the country, knowing that, okay, this really is a problem in and of itself, and I'm going to put myself in that position. And then when you get stopped and can't come back in, or you get arrested and put in jail by ICE at a detention facility, then start going through immigration deportation proceedings, you're wondering what happened. Well, no, Attorney Martin told you not to do that. So why would you then decide to do it? Because people are grown and they get to make their own decisions, even if we try to advise them as far as what we believe is the best route legally. So I would tell people, hey, sit still. If you don't have to go out, then don't go out. If you know that you have something on your criminal history that could pose an issue, then why would you place yourself in the crosshair? Don't give out information that you don't need to get out. No one. And I tell people you can always give your family members copies of your documentation that so that if you believe there's going to be an issue, you keep a copy on you. You can keep a copy on your phone. You can give a copy to your loved ones. Now, I'm not big on people always keeping stuff on their phone because you got to unlock your phone. You don't want people going through your phone, especially if they don't have a warrant, right? But if you want to keep it on your persons, then that's fine as well. And even sometimes in having it on your persons, what we're seeing in some instances is that they did not, right? They're still going to put cuffs on you, and then they're going to have to verify that you are who you say you are. And those things, of course, we have no control over them because it's just someone that shouldn't be doing those type things, right? Um, but that's what we're telling people. Keep your documents on you. Don't drive unless you have to. Don't give all of the information in the world because you're not required to. You just like if anybody else, your name, your address, copy of your license and your insurance card. You don't have to answer all these other questions. Don't just let people come into your house just because they want to say they want to come in. You don't have to do that.
Well, it sounds to me, Corey, as far as this immigration thing, it sounds to me like what you're saying is that if you come in contact with, any kind of immigration agents or even law enforcement or whatever, just kind of say less and do less. But also on the same tip, if you are, if you know that you may have done some things that may not look too good on your record or whatever, stay put. As we say in the military, stand fast.
That's it.
Just stand fast. Don't move. Just stay where you are until you be able to get
Yes.
your citizenship. So that's what it
Yes.
kind of sounds like to me. Next is personal injury, which is one that's always, interesting because, this one calling the law office of Martin and Associates immediately. Other things you might can wait a little bit, if you need to, as far as criminal justice, immigration, and that kind of thing. But this is one that you really need to get. I mean, I know this. I'm not a lawyer, but you really need to get on the phone and people really need to call your law offices immediately when they have a personal injury situation, whether it's in a vehicle, whether it's in a store, or wherever it's at. But I want you to elaborate a little bit about what the law offices of Martin and Associates bring to the table, and maybe things you're currently doing or whatever, when it comes down to personal injury.
Sure. And what we tell everyone that we know, there's always someone that you call and you can count on them. One of our mottos is you can count on Corey.
You
We're
can count
not
on
going to
Corey.
shoot you the bull. We're not going to tell you something just to tell you that. We don't mind showing you the documents when we have interaction with the insurance adjusters, when we have interactions with the police. I don't mind showing you. I want you to see because sometimes we hear on the radio, on the television, just from other people, the jingles, hey, I got $1 million. No, everybody not getting $1 million. I can promise you that. And if the policy is not $1 million policy, how do you get it? Regardless whether it's your policy or somebody else's. How can you get some that I don't have? I mean, you can't. And even if you did try to pursue, sometimes people file bankruptcy, you can't get it from them personally. But if I don't have it personally, how do you get it? You can't. So some of the things that you hear, it sounds great, right? But it says everything that sounds good isn't it, and everything that glitters isn't gold. So you have to take that. So what we do here at the Law Office of Martin and Associates, we do practice personal injury. We do car accidents. We do slip and falls. Pretty much trucking accidents, pretty much any type of injury that's personal where you've been injured in some form or fashion. You was over someone's house and you fell through their stairs or you fell through their porch or whatever, you were injured or something like that. Those type of things we do handle as far as PI, and we do tell individuals, make sure that you're not doing all this talking because of our office, we do not talk to or give statements to adjusters that are calling for the person that caused the injury to you, right? Because anything can happen. It can be taken out of context. As far as what you said, one moment maybe you weren't hurting because you got all this adrenaline going. The next moment, the adrenaline is now gone, and you begin to feel the pain or spasms or whatever. Or a couple of days later, the injury is worse than you thought, but you've made a statement to an adjuster saying that you're fine. Well, no, you're not fine. One, you hadn't been to the doctor to get checked out and to make sure, and enough time hasn't passed by. So we tell our clients, if you're in a wreck, of course, you want to make sure that you get it medically documented. You want to go to the ER or the urgent care, to your primary care physician, to your chiropractor, to your homeopathic doctor, if that's where you go, if that's where you go to, and you prefer more natural solutions to it, but you want to get seen by a doctor, and you definitely want to call us. And if possible, at the scene, you want to, of course, call 911. You don't want to just leave the scene, because sometimes you run into the issue, right? A person comes to you and says, I hit you. Why don't we just let me pay you out of pocket? Well, you don't know, one, how much damage has really been done to your vehicle, or how much damage has been really done to you, because it could get worse. Or some people will say, well, the insurance company doesn't need to get involved. Sometimes that's because they don't have insurance. So recently we've been seeing a lot of that, where they give the police their insurance card. So this is how it runs. Running. I purchase insurance on a vehicle. Initially, I put down my down payment, right? I get my the binder to say I have it. And most times on the card, when I get the card may say it's either a 3 to 6 months time period on the card, right? On the card, the insurance card. So when you give someone this card, it makes it seem as though this person had insurance, say from February to July. But in actuality, I only paid the amount to get the binder, which may last for a month to cover stuff. But after that, I didn't pay anything else. But guess what I have? I have a card that says I have insurance from February to July, and I don't have jack. And sometimes those are the types of things that happen. You think that a person has insurance, and they don't. And we do everything we can to help our clients, which may mean that they have to now file a claim with their own insurance. And everybody doesn't want to do that, and everybody doesn't like being in a position where the person that committed this offense to them or injured them doesn't have insurance, and they're not held accountable. But we're here to, again, represent them, to let them know that we're here to fight for them, that we don't just take whatever it is that the insurance company is willing to offer. We go to trial, right? We don't just settle cases. If the client wants to settle, we settle. If the client wants us to sue and go to trial, we sue and go to trial, right? We don't back down from anyone. We don't just take whatever that anyone is offering us. That's not how our office works, right? We don't mind putting 12 people in a box of jury and let's go. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want.
And
Someone that has your back.
absolutely. And I can attest to that. I mean, you guys have no problem going to trial, but like you said, sometimes it's better, for that client to maybe settle, and sometimes it's better to go to court. But before we move out of personal injury, because I think personal injury, when we look at criminal defense, we hope that criminal defense, immigration, and the last one we're going to talk about, which is contract and civil law, is that personal injury happens to everybody, but maybe not to where you need to, maybe, contact a lawyer. But at the same time, this is one that is I'm sure with most law offices, like yours, it gets a lot of, traffic and a lot of traction, on personal injury. And before we leave personal injury, I would like to talk about, I want you to kind of explain this 35% lawyer thing that we're hearing about. I know it's connected to some kind of to a law where lawyers can, I believe, get a higher percentage but give you less or something like that. I think it's a Georgia thing. I'm not really sure, but this 35% thing that I'm hearing from lawyers, and I'm not sure even how your office operate on that. But what I do know is I have one of the best lawyers right now on the Black Man's Roundtable in Metro Atlanta, and so I'm like, let me get this opportunity, because these guys are shooting out these commercials on the radio and TV and all kind of places, and I'm wanting for I have no better lawyer and friend to explain this whole 35% thing and what's happening with that, Corey, because we don't want for our viewers, for our followers, to be misled, by some of these quick lawyers out there.
Yeah, and so I haven't really heard as much about the 35% thing. What I hear is that you have different lawyers that charge different rates. The
Right.
average rate in general for an attorney, as far as a personal injury case in general, is 33 and a third
Right.
percent of the gross, right? Now you can deviate from that as much as you choose to. You can charge 10% if you choose to. That's up to you,
Right.
right? You can charge 20%, 25%. I've seen from in general from 25% up to 45%. I've
Okay.
seen those numbers where they vary. But in general, it's always been around 33 and a third percent that they're charging. I
Okay.
think what it has been said on and what I've been hearing is more so that there were some changes in the law as
Right.
it pertains to PI and the types of evidence and the types of things that will be taken into consideration by a jury when you are in trial. And so things that they used to say, for instance, they used to not be able to um, see, now they would be able to see.
Okay.
And so that may mean that the amount possibly that you're getting back may be less. It may not be less, right? A jury is the one that's going to make that final determination if you get that far. And even in settlement, I haven't seen any differences in the settlement at this point thus far,
Okay.
based upon my caseload. But I think this is what people are seeing that there are the new laws that have come into play that we believe um, hurt and affect those that are injured more so than the insurance company, because the insurance company is saying that well they're paying out so much money, but when you go and really look at their documents and their returns, that's not the case. Or you file a claim and you've been paying on this insurance for the last 5, 10 years. And next thing you know, they're going up on your rate. Or someone hits you and you file a claim and they're going up on your rate. You're like, well, this is my first time ever filing a claim, but I've been paying you all this money for years, and this is how I get done in return. And they're gonna say, well, either there's not. They're gonna say, well, the insurance industry allows us to do this. The insurance commissioner allows us to charge this rate or to increase our rates with those that are in Georgia. Again, I think it's a game, but that's just my opinion on that. And so that's why we fight and do everything we can for our clients. My office charges a base rate of 33 and a third percent as it pertains to PI cases. Do we change that? At times we do, right? We do work with clients as far as that. If it's a family of clients, then we do make concessions for that as well, right? It could be if they're military, if they're family members, whatever the case may be. So, are there those times when concessions are being made or that rates are being lowered? It is, but it is based upon what each firm does because again, no one there's not a cap that says you have to charge 25% or 35% because I have seen contracts where they are higher. We don't do that, but are there some contracts that will charge you 40, 45%? Yes,
Yeah.
there are.
Yep. Okay. All right. Our last one is contract and civil law. I think a lot of times when the average person when they look at a law firm and they see that a law firm specializes or practices contract and civil law, they think that a lot of that pertains to businesses, corporations, and that kind of thing. Not to say that it doesn't, because obviously it does. But I think that there's a lot of misnomers and a lot of misconceptions about when should you see a lawyer when it come down to contract and civil law, especially contract law. And so I would definitely like for you to explain and help our followers understand and know the importance and some of the times where they should be actually seeing you about contract and civil law.
Always, 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 always. And definitely up front. You don't go out and sign documents and then bring it to the attorney and say, well, hey, can you look over this? Well, if
Right.
you already tabbed yourself into a bad situation, and it may be a situation that it costs you more to get out of than it's worth. I want to see a person come to me and say, hey, I'm establishing this business. I have decided to go into entertainment, and this is the entertainment contract that they've given us. Please review this and then let's see what's in there that's good and bad for you. And can we negotiate some of those issues that are in there? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, right? I've had individuals that have come to the office who have even taken the consultation for the contract for the music industry several times. I had several people that do this. They are so happy and overjoyed about the idea that they may be with a big company or any company whatsoever, that we go through the contract and I tell them this is an issue, this is an issue, this is an issue. And I'm one of those right now, I tell them, don't sign this. Period. Do not sign this, because it's going to lead you down a road that you don't want to go. So I'm very upfront. I'll tell you whether it's okay or it's not. Most of the times for me, it's no, don't sign this. You see this issue here? You don't want that. We need to try and change that. Let's see what we can negotiate. Sometimes individuals don't heed that warning. They go ahead and they sign the contract, and then they come back later on and say, you know what? I really don't want to be with them because they didn't give me what I thought I was going to get. Or I would like to get out of my contract. And can you explain this here? I said, well, we went over that before. If someone tells you that I need you to give me your best 9 hits, well, okay, well, who determines what are your best 9 hits? Is it based upon your sales? What is it based on? And who gets to make that determination? Because if I get to make that determination and you're good at what you do, Rodney, you're not going to never have the best 9 hits. Matter of fact, I may tell you got 7, and all of them were great. Everything that you come and you bring me, it's outstanding. I'm getting paid on it. But why would I cut off my money by telling you that you have the best 9 hits? Versus someone defining that terminology in that contract. When can you get out? Or the fact that you are good, and so I want to put you on the shelf because I don't want you to be in competition with someone else that I have. And we're telling you, don't sign this because it doesn't look good. Or we're going to give you 50 grand up front, Rodney, to last you for next 6 months to a year until you start making sales. But remember, when you do everything that goes on from now to then, Rodney, you're paying for it because you got your marketing, you got your advertisement, you got your travel, you got your food, you got your clothes, right? You got appearances, and guess who's paying for that? The company may be paying for it up front, but you got to repay them. And guess who's getting paid before you get paid? They are. And so people really aren't looking at that contract, or they aren't heeding what the attorneys is telling them. So I tell anyone, I don't care who it is, myself, although I do contract review and contract drafting, if it was something that either I was unsure about, then I'm not just going to agree with it. I'll call another attorney to ask them, hey, this right here is bothering me a little bit. What do you think about this? Right? Or I don't like this, and they're going to say, yeah, either it's good or it's bad, or what you were thinking was correct, Corey, because we've seen something like this before as well. So no, Rodney, it's at the beginning of the process. Because if I can stop you from hurting yourself or from hurting someone else from a contractual standpoint, as far as what you may have to pay out, because contracts tend to deal with damages and money. So it's about you're not having to pay money out, or you're not having to lose money that you could have had in your pocket. So no, always at the very beginning. Doesn't mean that we won't step in when there's a contractual dispute, but that dispute could have been avoided had you brought the document to an attorney and had them review it, or have us draft it, right? If it's not one that's already there already, to try and save you some pain. That's why we're here, to help you as much as possible. But I think you always know your problem. I don't care what, I don't care if it's criminal, if it's immigration, if it's PI, contract law, bankruptcy. I don't care what area it is that you're dealing with. I think you always lawyer up. And for most of those areas that we're talking about tonight, most of the attorneys will give you a free consultation. Criminal defense, they're not going to, most don't charge you. We don't charge you at our office for a criminal defense consultation, for a personal injury consultation. We don't do that. That's not what we do. We want to help you as much as possible.
Absolutely. And Corey, also just a little bit on the on the civil law side, right? On how people are learning that civil law that civil law is different from criminal law, because we have all of these famous people who are in the news and in people's faces every day, and they see that they may get off on a criminal a criminal case, but then all of the civil stuff starts to happen afterwards. And I know that, in our community specifically, that, that there are some misconceptions and misnomers and misunderstandings about, civil law. So I definitely want you to bring it home on this civil law for us before we let you get out of here, Corey.
Sure. And so what I think happens in the difference between the civil and the criminal and how people should understand is that there are different burdens of proof in the civil and in the criminal context. And from a civil context, it may be easier for you to recover from someone that you went after, and technically the prosecution, the state went after in a criminal case than it would be otherwise, because that burden is higher for one or the other. And when we're talking about civil cases, I want to make sure people understand civil cases could be the personal injury, it's contract law, it's family law, that's civil, it's real estate law, it's estates. All those things are considered civil types of law. And they primarily deal with money damages and knowing that, okay, if someone has done me wrong or injured me, then I should be able to be made as whole as possible. And one of the easier ways to do that is by paying someone for their injuries in a civil context. But that's why you see, and that's why sometimes I think even with OJ may have gotten off from the standpoint of the criminal, but when they went after him civilly, because of the burden that they had to prove from a civil case, it was more easier for them to get him civilly than it did criminally. And it may end up even being the same way with Diddy, where, okay, for some of the things that he has been found not guilty of, then someone may decide to sue him civilly and be able to possibly get money from him civilly, because it's just two different types of burdens. It's easier to prove one way, say from a civil standpoint, than it is to prove from a criminal standpoint, because those burdens are just totally different. And so
Absolutely.
that's why
I
that's why
think
you
when
see.
people, as we move through, life and we run into different situations, things that could land us in court, or land us in a law office, I think that we need to get better at thinking about the civil implications, the civil rights of others, if you will.
Mhm,
Uh, you know, instead of just thinking about, yeah, am I going to jail for this? Because
mhm.
typically, you don't, go to jail for civil things. Like you said, is usually hit you in your pocket instead of locking you behind bars. So I think we got to do a better job at that sometimes before we, like you've been saying, throughout this entire episode, which is take a pause, breathe, and that can maybe help make you think about some of the civil violations or some of the civil rights of that person that you may be violating. So,
And we even,
so
Rodney, had received a call today from a potential client dealing with even an
mhm,
employment discrimination, which again is civil in nature,
okay,
where they were saying that, hey, they thought that they had been wrongfully terminated um, from their job that they were at. And we had to go through that process of trying to determine whether we believe that it fits in that category that they were retaliated against or they were discriminated against based upon their race, religion, disability, and some other things that are federally protected classes. Because Georgia's a right to work state, right? And
hmm,
so, because Georgia's a right to work state, you just don't have the right to do what you want to do, and the employer also doesn't have the right to do exactly what they want to do. But there are some protections on both sides. And so we had to have that conversation with her and say, okay, this is how we go about determining whether or not you really have a case that deals with employment discrimination, because it is civil and it deals with money damages and possibly, do I get my job back? Do I not get it back? Do they owe me for firing me for the wages that I lost? Did they say something when someone else called for a reference from me and they said, no, this is the worst person in the world, they're a thief? Have they defamed me? Which defamation is civil as well. So that's another area of law that's civil. So civil covers a lot of different areas of law when you really think about it. But
absolutely,
we do get to talk to all of those different types of clients. Now, do we primarily do all those things? We don't. It tends to be criminal defense, immigration, PI, and of course the contract law, because there's these so many different areas of law. So do we practice every law? We do not. But can we give you some basics and can we refer you out to someone if it's an area that we do not practice? Of course. I want you to be able to get your questions answered, because if I can't answer them, then I need to put you with someone else that can, because that's what we do at the law office of Martin and Associates. We want to show you that you can count on us for whatever it is that you need, regardless of whether we practice that area or not. That's the right thing to do, right? That's what we were taught.
absolutely. Like you said, brother, you can count on Corey. And one of the things I want to say too, Corey, before we give you that opportunity to let people know how they can get in contact with you and all of that stuff, is that, first of all, like you said, if some people think that, lawyers just, some people think that lawyers just practice all aspects of law. And we went over the four primary things that you do. I'm sure that there are things that there are nuances that you may, do, that you may make and help people with in between something. I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer, but however, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, man, for all of the folks that I send your way. And that, because here's what I tell them: if I tell every single body that I've ever sent your way, is that if Corey can't help you, I can promise you he's going to find someone that can. He's going to find another lawyer, that can help you. And so, but because of that, those ethics, those morals, and those ethos that I know that come from your law firm, I've never hesitated sending anyone your way. And because, like I said, a lot of times I don't know what it's like. You may think, I tell people, look, you may think you have an estate situation where it may be a civil thing. You know what I'm saying? I said, but look, let's talk to Corey, and he's going to get you either the right direction, or he's going to get you help. So I want to just personally thank you for talking to, because I know sometimes I may send you and it's like, boy, Rodney, but I do want to thank you for for that. And you're my go-to guy, man. Just like on the Black Man's Roundtable, when it come down to criminal justice and all this stuff, you're my go-to guy when people come and ask me, hey, I know these lawyers, and I do know lawyers. Like I said, we've had a friendship and an understanding of each other. And you have to trust your lawyer, and that's what I tell you. You have to trust your lawyers. But anyway, Corey, before we let you out of here, like I said, man, we definitely want for you to let the folks know how they can reach you, things that, and also I want to say this is that you pointed out a couple of things that you do in the community, and not only in the community but for the veterans, and all of that. But I definitely want to attest that, look, brother, we're constantly running into each other out here in these streets and in these suites. We are running into each other, doing the work that God wants for us to do, that the community wants for us to do. And I just want people to know that Corey, I see Corey Martin in the streets out here doing the business of our youth, doing the business of our people who, maybe have fallen in a situation, and in mental health situations. I see Corey out, doing it all. But anyway, Corey, before we let you out of here, brother, let people know how they can reach you, how you can help them, and all that good stuff.
Yes, well, Rodney, number one, thank you. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to have me on your platform. It goes a long way. One of the biggest things that we always appreciate is when someone places their trust in us, when they tell someone else about us, when we get a referral from someone else that says, you know what, Rodney told me to come in to see you. He said, you're going to be 100 with me regardless of what goes on. I'm like, yeah, Rodney told you right. That's how we are. That's how we operate. And he wouldn't expect nothing else but the best, and for someone to be upfront and honest with you in this process. So I thank you for everybody that you're sending. You're right. He come in and said, Rodney said. I said, okay, all right, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, because I don't want you to go back and tell Rodney that I said something different. But no, we always thank you. And we thank every person, every client that comes in, everyone that contacts our office. We just appreciate it, and we want to thank you for that. As far as being able to reach us, we're here in Douglas County at 8312 Office Park Drive, Suite E, Douglasville, Georgia 30134, which is in the Magnolia Office Park, which is back behind Checkers and the Tires Plus. You can always reach me on my cell, 404-247-6656, 404-247-6656. That's my cell. And guess what? I answer my cell. And that's even on the weekends. If you call, I'll answer it, which is not what you're going to get from most attorneys, because I want to make myself available for those that need me. We can also be reached via email, Corey, Corey, at martinlaw.com. That's Corey, the at symbol, MART10law.com. And so, Rodney, they said too much is given, much is required. And we're just trying to do as much as we possibly can in Douglas County and in the world to do what God has ordained us to do, what He's required us to do. That means helping the youth by being mentors, being a partner in education. I'm a cheer dad. I call myself the attorney cheer dad for my daughter's cheer team. Whatever we can do in the community to help those and show them that there is a better way and that there's people that's willing to help you and assist you along this journey, because none of us ever gets where we're at by ourselves, right? My mom said you crazy and you stupid if you think that you did that on your own, because you didn't. Somebody either helped you or they paved the way for you, and you're being able to be successful. And so you are one of those individuals as well, right? Because like I said, I definitely appreciate you. There are many more out there, from the individuals of John Marshall to the wife and who allows me to do the things that take away from family time, right? That I could be giving more to them, but she understands this calling that I have and what I have to do, as well as my daughters who are putting in many hours with me, Sable and Courtney, Simone that comes out, and Cassandra and Kamina. So everybody is it's a tribe, it's a family that's supporting each other in this process. And this was instilled in us when we were small, and as we got older and as we went through the military helped build on that to now to where we're at now, where we um are able to give back to those that need it and to say thank you, God, for everything that you've done to us, and just to let other people know, I got you, right? Right. It's okay for me to tell them, I got you. Don't worry about it. We're gonna do everything we can to help you any way that we can. And we're not gonna lie to you in the process. Just being fair and just treating people the way that I want to be treated, right? As an attorney and as a person in general. But again, I'm very thankful. I'm very humble. There is something that is going on, Rodney, that I do want to mention. There is
Yes,
a
sir.
new appointment that is will be made in Douglas County for a state court judge that's coming up. I will be completing my application for that in the next 24 hours and getting it over to the Judicial Nominating Committee. And so we appreciate anyone's support that's willing to call the governor or call the Judicial Nominating Committee and say, hey, yeah, I know about Attorney Martin. He's a great person. He's going to hold people's feet to the fire, but yet he's going to be fair in that process. And not just going to come into this community and do what you want and think that it's going to be okay, because it doesn't work like that. I work every day and I have the same expectation for everyone that I come in contact with, that they'll be doing the same. If you need a hand up, we'll give you a hand up. So we just
Thank
thank
you
you,
for
right,
that,
for
Corey.
this opportunity.
Tell them the office they need to call one more time.
Sure, it is the Law Office of Martin and Associates.
No, no, not your office. I'm talking about
Oh,
for
the
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 appointment.
the Judicial Nominating Commission
The
is
the Judicial Nominating
or they
Commission.
call the governor himself, Governor Kemp. Reach out to
Gotcha.
Governor Kemp and say, yeah, we know this guy here, and he's great for the community, and he believes in the community, and he stands for the community. He's service oriented. He doesn't mind doing what's needed, and he's not one of those that just believes in just letting people do what they want to do just because of the fact that he practices criminal offense. I don't think that has anything to do with I'm fair, I'm tough, and I'll do what it takes to get the job done, regardless to who that is.
Absolutely. The truest word spoken today. Corey, again, brother, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know that I am in your court, no matter what area that you decide to, venture into, no matter what new thing that you may have. You know that just like you can always count on Corey, you can always call on me, and I'm going to be there for you, brother. But once again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to that team that is behind you for for your ability to even be on this platform, because I know that the wife, the daughters, the team that you have around you, you have one of the most powerful teams, man, that I've ever seen, and it consists of a lot of females, and
It does.
they are on it. I mean, they are on it, on it, on it. But anyway, Corey, thank you, brother. Definitely look forward to having you back on the Black Man's Roundtable as soon as we can, get you back on. So I want to thank you, and thank the team, thank the family, thank everybody. Thank you, Corey, for being with us. And family, this is, of course, the Black Man's Roundtable, and you know that you can catch the Black Man's Roundtable the third Thursday of the month. Also catch the Black Man's Roundtable Roundup with Rodney and Rodney the second Thursday of the month, and the Black Man's Roundtable Local Lookout with Rodney and Bobby the first Thursday of the month. All episodes drop at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, family, check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have a show idea or want to be on the show? Shoot us an email at blackmansroundtable@gmail.com. And please, like and follow us on social media.